Welcome back to the Spotlight, where we highlight veteran voices. We are live here in the Defender's Den at Azura Veterans Coalition. I'm Nicole, the Executive Director here. Welcome to the Spotlight. I would like to first thank our sponsors here at Black Rifle Coffee Company out of Phoenix. And I would also like to highlight a check that we got last night from the Knights of Columbus out in Sun Lakes via our favorite guy here, Dave Campbell, on the cover of American Veteran Magazine. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Knights of Columbus. That's like the second check that they've delivered to us, and they said there's more to come. So I'm really excited to have those guys looking out for us. Also, I wanted to give a little notice that we will be closing on Fridays in the Resource Center. We'll still be live here in the Defender's Den Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. But we want to give the staff a little bit of a mental health break because they have been working very hard to show up for our veterans every day. And it's hot out there, so we want to give them a little bit of respite from the heat and let them go take some vacations like I'll be doing this weekend. And also, as always, this show can bring up some emotions and feelings. And if you're struggling with anything that's a little too heavy, don't forget that the National Veterans Crisis Hotline is out there for you 24/7. Dial 988, then press option 1. You matter. Your story matters. If you need to talk, you can also come in here and chat with us. We got your back. And we need help. So if you are looking for volunteer opportunities, we have them here. We're looking for a social media manager. So if you want to put something on your CV and you want to help us get out there, come on down and see if you're a good fit. Also a graphic designer we're looking for the production team. We're trying to build this out and see what we can develop, have some fun with it. And wellness practitioners, if you practice yoga, tai chi, meditation, Ralphing, or anything of the sort, come on down and be a part of the conversation. Like tonight, Wellness Wednesday, we'll be having a practitioner group and discussing holistic modalities. And I think Friday, we have music military medicine with Goldie Murphy, Gold Star Mom. She'll be in here playing guitars, ukuleles, and learning how to play. It's like a 6-week course. So you can learn all the way up and then you can start writing your own music and developing your creative style through that. And this Saturday is Armed Forces Day. We are going to hold the East Valley Women Veterans Brunch at the Chandler Elks Lodge amongst all of the Elks members. And if you would like to show up and join that, please RSVP tonight to the Chandler Elks if you want to show up for that brunch. I went last year and I got to speak, and they're an amazing group of people. So very supportive of the veteran community, and thank you to the writers out there. And I think that's what we got for now. And I would like to introduce our buddy here, Army veteran, Emilio from Soldier's Best Friend. Welcome to the show, brother. Thanks for coming out from, were you on the west side?
Yeah, all the way out in Peoria.
And it's a little after 1600, so you had to drive through, I don't know, what is that, 45 minutes away?
It was about, 55 to an hour. Yeah.
Thanks
Traffic,
for making the trek.
Arizona drivers.
So. Yeah, coming from Washington, I was like, people do not know how to drive down here, or maybe I have spatial awareness problems.
Or hold on to their bumpers. Bumpers everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I had a fender bender recently, so downtown Phoenix, it was not fun. Yeah. But anyway, bro, tell us who you are. Why'd you join the service? What branch? What'd you do? All the things.
Awesome. So my name's Emilio Driscoll. I'm the development manager at Soldier's Best Friend. I'm a veteran, 10-year Army combat veteran.
Oh, yeah.
I served from 2007 until 2017. I was a 12 Bravo, which is a combat engineer. So I dealt with roadside bombs, IEDs, minefields, any kind of improvised explosive device I dealt with. And, like, I'm one of the lucky ones. I have all my fingers, all my toes, all my extremities. So, definitely knew at 10 years when I was on a dismounted patrol in Afghanistan, I was like, what am I doing? I'm from LA. I should be on a beach right now, not in a poppy field, like looking for mines. I just knew it. It was time to get out. So I finished out my contract and, ended it there. It just was right. But served in Iraq and Afghanistan. Some of the best times of my life, best experiences, best people you'll ever meet. But since then, I have been working in the veteran community since 2016, 2017, as I started transitioning out of the military. I started working with various VSOs and both on campus and off campus. In 2017, with my Veterans Club at Rio Hondo Community College, whoop whoop. We went and lobbied for federal funding at community colleges throughout the nation. The reason being is that universities and state colleges, they do have funding or state funding for veteran centers, but at the community college where veterans are most likely to attend once out of the military and utilize their GI Bills, there is no funding. So a lot of veterans waste a lot of their benefits at that level. So we needed vet centers, kind of something like this. You need something that the veterans can form at, come together at, be counseled at. So we lobbied at the state capitol with Congressman Randy Vopel, and then I moved to Arizona, attended the U of A, so bear down. I know a lot of people at ASU.
I'm not some flack from that.
I know I'm not from Arizona, so for me, I'm a first generation grad. So for me,
Congratulations.
that is appreciated, Nicole. That is something monumental to my family. I've worked at the Tucson Vet Center and other vet centers, and then to include U.S. Vets, where I was a case manager for several years, assisting veterans who are homeless with housing, employment, substance abuse, their VA benefits, any and all kind of records they need to reintegrate back into society.
Wow. What's your undergrad?
In history. So I actually
Drunken history.
Yeah,
history.
I have a degree in history and sociology, and reason being is I actually wanted to be a history professor. So I went through college, obtaining that degree. However, working within the veteran community, I started to veer away from that. Luckily, I graduated during COVID, May of 2020, where I got my diploma in the mail. And
In your boxers?
yeah, yep. I went
With
out
just your cap on.
I went out just my robe and like, thank you, mailman. Went did the tassel turn. But that's with the schools, doing everything online and there being a hiring freeze in that. It almost worked out perfectly where I was transferred to another calling. I like to say my true calling, working within the veteran community, and I started working at U.S. Vets. So I did want to be a teacher, but in a way, somebody explained to me, I somewhat do teach by, being able to spread knowledge about veteran resources and referrals within the veteran community.
Absolutely.
And then brought me to Soldier's Best Friend. Well, I mean, every soldier needs a best friend, right? Navy, Marines, like we all do. We all need somebody there for us. The importance of having a service animal, to me, what I've seen is having that mission, having that purpose again, and that allowance to heal. It's a very unfortunate thing. I'm very guilty of it myself. When I got out, I struggled immensely with my identity. I had no idea of who I was. I was Sergeant Driscoll for so many years that when I came out, just hearing Emilio was foreign. Realizing that I'm not a soldier anymore, I'm a veteran. I mean, there just was so much going on mentally, and I can only speak for myself, so I can't imagine individuals who served more years than me, retirees, that may have struggled with identity as well. But I more so struggled with a purpose as well. A purpose, a belonging, a reason, which caused many years of just brain fog. I had no idea until I sought mental health that PTSD has an incubation period of anywhere from 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it just hits you out of nowhere.
It did. That's what happened to me, man.
And what do you say? What's wrong with me?
Yep. That's exactly what I
Right?
said.
What's wrong with me?
I said, something's wrong with me.
Something's wrong with you. And when you're in the military, when you're trained, right, to deal with a problem, you're trained to eliminate it. So when you constantly say, what's wrong with me? You are training yourself to re-access that part of your training, your military training, to eliminate the problem. And unfortunately, a lot of veterans eliminate themselves. So Soldier's Best Friend, working with them and seeing the changing experience that service animals have been able to provide our 441 veterans that we have graduated from our program since our founding in 2011. Seeing them come in, go through the interview process, first day of orientation, nervous, scared, but brave at the same time because they took a step that a lot of people just don't. And then seeing them 6 to 9 months later graduate and speaking in front of a crowd, dressed up in a shirt that they never thought that they would even be able to wear again, a nice button-up, coming out of the house. It's amazing. It truly is transformative.
I have like head to toe goosebumps. I got like tears in my eyes. That's amazing. I wish I, would have been able to consider that when I was going through my ordeal.
Yeah.
So how do you find these people?
Our
Or do they
veterans,
find you? Like when they're
Yeah.
in that and you know that the animal can help them and bring everything that you just said, how do we get to them like that?
Well, you know what? Somebody way wiser than me once told me that the best form of advertisement is word of mouth. As long as the word coming from the mouth is good. So joining this organization, I realized that we have quite the reputation. It's pretty evident what we're doing within the community and the veteran community in itself. The VA does. They're mental health providers. They provide a lot of referrals our way. My own counselor. So shout out to the Mesa Vet Center. He's an amazing individual. He refers a lot of individuals to us as well. And we get a lot of referrals from them. We get a lot of referrals from within the veteran community, which is why places like yours are so important, because veterans trust veterans. And with our information, your referrals to us, that's what has helped spread our mission throughout the years. We attend a lot of veteran stand-downs, which are resource and referral booths, gatherings for people within the community. So we get our word out. We get our mission out a lot. Just doing events and tablings and presentations to increase visibility of our organization.
It's cool when I see you guys at the events. You guys have such like a presence there. It's almost like you don't have to give this whole speech, that 30-second elevator pitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because your name stands for itself. And it's like you guys are just standing back there, just like honoring what you're doing, and you're prepared to answer questions. But like I feel like I have to sell what we do and have to over-explain what we do and tell everyone what the difference is between the resource center and the lounge, and to build that all up. What your organization, it has such an amazing track record that you guys just get to show up with the seal and people know you and they just get to walk up and they're like, how do I do this? So like for me, I'm moving into a new apartment and I'm finally settling. I'm like, okay, I'm calling Arizona my home. I moved here from Washington 2 years ago. And I'm like, I'm going to plant roots here. I love to do this role here, and becomes someone who's like so passionate about the work that you do. Like you said, I found my true calling, right? So that being said, I live alone and I would like to get a service animal. And I went to war. I did my 4 years. I came back. I have PTSD. Do I qualify? Like, how do I know if I qualify for one of your animals? How does that even work?
Yeah. Simply give us a call, right?
Okay.
So actually, Soldier's Best Friend, in order to qualify for a service animal or a therapeutic companion dog, you have to have a diagnosis of combat-related PTSD or a TBI or MST. MST is a form of PTSD. So the way we at Soldier's Best Friend define combat-related PTSD is not the way the VA does. So any veteran out there who may get that re-triggering of, oh, I applied to the VA, but because I didn't qualify for this because I didn't go to combat, when you go to Soldier's Best Friend and you see combat, don't be discouraged. Call us, apply. The way we define combat-related PTSD is training for combat. So at the basic training level, you are training for combat. So as long as you've gone to basic training and you have a diagnosis of PTSD or TBI or you have MST, you are qualified for.
Regardless of your service connection rating.
It
You
does
don't have to
not
be
require,
100?
it does not require service-connected rating at
Okay,
all.
because a lot of PTSD just standard 70 out the gate, 70% out the gate.
Some people even
Some people only get
50 or
10.
yeah. It really just depends.
Mm.
All your accolades and everything in the military, yes, they do help you in your rating, but it's not a requirement at Soldier's Best Friend to have a disability rating. You don't even really have to be enrolled or established at the VA.
Really?
Yes, you do not have to have any VA connection at all. As long as you have a mental health provider, whether it's private
Okay.
or through the VA, that can give us a confirmation of diagnosis. And you do not need to provide us with an animal. That is not a barrier.
That was my
A lot
next
of people,
question.
yeah, a lot of people go, "Oh, I don't have a dog. Then it's gonna cost to get a dog, and I got this." Awesome. Slow down, hero. You know, like, it's not a barrier. We're a statewide organization, and we rescue from rescue statewide. So no matter where you're at, we have a solution. We will, during the interview, assess you for your PTSD needs or your TBI needs, and we will find an animal, a soon-to-be service animal specific to you, and we will provide it for you. And throughout the duration of the program, we cover the medical, training, the training equipment, and then at the end, when you graduate, we transfer adoption of the service dog over to you. All at no cost. Only thing that it does cost is your dedication, motivation, and commitment. And it's a very hard program because you have to commit to at least 2 trainings a week, an hour each time, and do the supplemental homework that your trainer will give you.
So they take the animal home with them
Oh, from day one.
from
yeah.
day one. Okay.
From day one, the animal goes home with you, and that's what creates that bond between you and your best friend. The service animal is not trained and then given to you. I always feel like that's the lazy way out. But I'm not bashing any organization that does that. At Soldier's Best Friend, we do that specifically because the veteran knows their PTSD needs. The veteran knows their TBI or MST needs. And the soon-to-be service animal needs to be in tune with you. And throughout that training together, and not the trainer training the dog, the trainer training the veteran to train the dog, that's what creates the bond, that everlasting bond between them. And then that's why it's your best friend.
Wow. Yeah, we have a question from the audience. Is there a cutoff age to train the service animal?
So yes, we do accept we do accept animals anywhere from 9 months to 3 years. So after 3 years, I want to say that's our cutoff. Kind of goes back to that old, kind of hard to teach old dogs new tricks.
Okay.
While
gotcha.
they're still pups and young, we can alter temperament and behavior.
What kind of barriers have you faced doing this? What does a veteran face as a barrier? What do you see most of?
What I see a lot, a lot of the barriers that I see the veterans doing is kind of like myself too when it came to mental health, was just the initial step, applying and following through. It's a very scary thing along the whole way. There's a lot of triggers when applying for Soldier's Best Friend or even just any program in general, because a lot of it reminds you of the VA process. The VA is great in what they do. They have a separate mission from us, and we provide, a separate mission than the VA. However, the VA has their guidelines, and we have our guidelines as well as any other organization. So hearing certain or reading certain trigger words, that it can stop the process. I also see then, I as a veteran am guilty of it, a lot of the excuses and the reasons why not to follow through as a barrier as well. Kind of like, well, I don't have the time, like I live all the way over here, and then I work, I have kids, I'm a single dad, I'm a single mom. Understandable. It's completely understandable. We do compensate though. Our trainers will work with them directly and allow their schedule to work with them. But it is a very hard initial first step. So once getting over that barrier and staying true to it, staying motivated, right? Because complacency kills.
Word.
So as long as you stay motivated throughout the entire thing, you'll be all right. You'll get through it. And at the end, you'll realize you know, how transformative this whole process is.
I 100 agree with that. Discipline equals freedom. You know, you've heard Jocko Willink say that.
Mhm.
I'm reading this book right now, Discipline is Destiny by Ryan Holiday, one of my favorite Stoic writers. And he deals with a lot of military and first responders and such. And we know that the only way through something is through, you have to go through it. You know, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. So like through my healing journey, I just had to keep getting up, keep getting up, keep getting up. You know, I'd fall and but the only thing I knew was like, this can't last forever. Something has to change. Something has to change within me. And if I keep getting up and keep trying something new and keep going forward, pushing, trying it as hard as I can, I know I was going to get to the other side of it. I knew, I had a deep knowing that I would get to the other side, but I had to put in massive fucking work.
Oh yeah.
And like, I had to hold myself accountable. You know, I had to restructure my routine over and over and over again and find what really worked for me and allow it to really sink in and listen to people. You know, I had to take some advice. As much as I hated that, especially when you leave the service and you're done taking commands, you're like, I'm my own person. Well, my own thinking got me into some really shady situations. So I had to start listening to people who had been there, done that, right? Like you said, veterans trust veterans. So when people come see us or when they come see you, you can tell them that story you just said, man, I would follow your lead, you know, because you're on the other side and you're doing this advocacy work that it probably takes an emotional toll on you too. So how do you take care of yourself after dealing with all of these people and their animals and so much energy?
It definitely does take an emotional toll. Every day you deal as a combat veteran and having a diagnosis of PTSD, which I'm up there. I'm rated up there at the max. It is tough. But I have to realize that as much as I'm going through it, somebody else is going through it either at the same level or worse. And I hope that they're going through it less. That is a very tough instrument working either in the social work field or within the veteran community, because you're constantly hearing, like you said, you got to listen. You have to respect the other individual. So having to listen to their stories, it reignites the stories you tell people. And just as much as, you know, that old story you hear about, you know, all the military is going to get you one day is talking at a bar, you know, telling your stories and someone just going, hey, get this guy a steak and a beer. You know, as much as you want your story heard, you have to listen to other people's stories. It is exhausting. It is triggering. It is emotional. So some of the ways that I deal with it is I finally had to seek mental health. It just hit that point because while we're in the military, we have to take accountability for our actions, right? Otherwise, you get in big trouble. And sadly to admit, really, that accountability you mentioned left along with Sergeant Driscoll. Okay, so I wasn't taking accountability for a lot of things. I was perfect. I was a soldier, you know, like no, there's nothing wrong with me. So I'm fully engaged with my mental health. I've been going to counseling for just a little over 2 years, and it has helped. And then also trying to do the opposite. I've wasted too many years hiding away, not going to public events or not going out and about. It's ruined relationships for me.
Yes.
Talking to people like you used to talk to your soldiers, you know, like they weren't your soldiers, you know, like, so dealing with it, I play with my son. He really keeps a lot of youth in me and reminds me that, you know, that is one of the reasons I got out of the military as well. I saw too many families destroyed. I saw divorces. I saw kids without their fathers, and I did not want to be like that. So that was one of the deciding factors also when I got out. Not that I had anyone in mind, it's just I just was like, you know, I'm ready to get out. I want to live. I want to be able to do what I want to do. I want to be able to have a family. So he definitely is one of the reasons. And when I play with him, when I'm around him, I help get remembered why I got out. That helps with the de-stress a little bit, you know. I'll get on Candy Crush every once in a while too, you know.
Oh man, you just triggered me. I
Yeah.
haven't played that game in so many years, but it was definitely a thing. What are some other things you do to de-stress?
You know, the classic.
You got golf shoes on.
Oh yeah, you know, I'm trying to get into golf, so I always say fake it till you make it, right? No, I will. I'll go to I'll go to the gym. I'll get a quick workout in when I can. I'm a big toy collector, so I like to go home and polish my stuff, or I'll do puzzles. I fidget with my fingers a lot, so I try to get into anything that I can. I do know that when I'm going through something, I realize, I start vegging out on my phone, and, I'll lay in bed or things like that. So those are some of the things I do to de-stress. I'll keep active. And most importantly,
Legos are fidgeting.
Legos are amazing.
We have these little Lego kits in here. So if you want to come have coffee and hang out with somebody, you can like put little Lego sets together. We got a parrot over there and a flamingo and other little things, and just kind of slows you down. It's meditative.
Oh yeah, and I recently got invited to another organization, Co-op Survival.
Yeah, I was just talking to her.
Oh yeah,
I can't wait to have her on the show.
Amazing organization.
She makes dog leashes, but it's not about the leash.
Yep, no, it's not. It's about the conversation.
Absolutely.
What's great about her organization, Co-op Survival, is again, you're working with your hands. You're having to make this leash, but you have to carry on a conversation at the same time. That way you're working out both parts.
Both hemispheres.
There you go.
Hemisync.
She said it perfectly, and I was just like, like trying to pay attention and end up tying the thing to the table. And she was like, see, that's why you got to train it. So it's interesting. As much as sometimes the veteran community can be triggering for a lot of reasons, getting more active in it and being around more like-minded individuals that are also trying to repair themselves is de-stressing at the same time. It's so comforting to realize that you are not alone.
No, you're not.
So which is why places like this are just amazing. You can come, you can socialize, you can be around people that you're comfortable with, and then form communities, form relationships, ones that you didn't have outside of the military.
Yeah, there's a lot of those stories here in the American Veterans Magazine. I met the new, I guess, director of this. Like, she's running this booklet now, Patty Bell. She also has like an oil company called Sacred Living. I got to try out some of her oil samples, and really cool woman who showed up to the empowerment conference, Women Who Lead. And within this are organizations doing great work where you can find things, sort of people's stories, history. It's amazing. People like Dr. Carl Faulkner just had the change of command of the DAV Chapter 8. I was able to go to that.
Wow.
Me and Rick Kryberg from Veterans Affinity were both awarded for our community efforts in helping the veterans here locally and working with DAV Chapter 8. And, organizations like yourself, all of us are combined in this coalition here in the East Valley doing this work together, like Co-op Survival. And like, she is so knowledgeable about the Elizabeth Dole Foundation and how we can get, caregiver support.
Oh yeah.
That's huge. Like what you're talking about, you're helping families as well. It's not just about the veteran, it's about the family. It's a family healing. The whole endeavor has to include all of us, because
oh yeah, if my family was here, they could trust you. They're like, this isn't the guy we know, like.
Yeah, after I like went through all my healing and I was reintroduced to my family, they called me Nikki, and I'm like, I actually go by Nicole now. And then I started building boundaries up, and then people had to start speaking to me differently. And I was like, I no longer accept this. I have boundaries here now, and things I still have to work on every day. But I'm like, what you only thing that happens to you is what you allow, right? So we learn how to show up for ourselves and show other people how to treat us. And right, like,
yeah, well, there's something that you said.
If they don't change,
there's something you said that I don't even know how impactful on me you thought it was, because you're living it, and you said it just because you're living it, but it changed something in me. I saw you the other week, and you were like, oh yeah, hey, I'm living my truth. I'm telling my truth. I have to. And it just dawned on me. I was like, wow, You know what I mean? Like that's some truth right there. We have to. You mentioned the sensitivity thing. Same with my family. You know, all of a sudden they started seeing me become sensitive, and they're like, "Wow, Emilio's really sensitive. You know, you can't take this joke, or you can't say this to him." But it's creating those boundaries. It's like, no, It's not that I'm sensitive. It's just that I'm speaking out. I never really liked that in the first place.
Right.
It's just I allowed it over time, and it became the norm. So now that I'm speaking it out. It's not really that I'm truly being sensitive about it. I'm just creating that boundary. You know.
I had to find my voice. For a long, I didn't have a voice, or someone told me who I was, and I showed up as all the things I was supposed to be, whether in uniform or not, in the family system, you know. So now I get to find my voice. I get to find my authentic self, show up as that, change that, ebb and flow, however I choose to show up. I get to do that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I don't allow anyone else to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And then build the support system around me and let those people in to really get to know me and get super vulnerable. Be like, this is what I need. This is what I'm going through. And then allow them to offer up some experience of their own and share that commonality or how we grow together. But the sensitivity thing, I think it's great. It's we're finally not dissociating anymore, because when we come back, we're just a bunch of heads. We're scared to drop into the felt sense of the body. We have no idea what's going on down here. We can be like, it's hot outside, but they're like, well, do you feel cold? And you're like, I don't know. It takes you a minute to, you're like, oh, I don't even know how I feel. I know it's hot out there, but do I feel hot? Like, so that's something that we have to do, is drop into the body and be like, how do I feel? And, you know, and when we're working with other populations of people who are suffering, we have to remember to take care of ourselves first.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not compassionate 24/7. You know, we all have a battery. You know, we all have a battery. I'm not trying to say like, oh yeah, you know, I'm this. You know, I when I get home, oh yeah, like, you know, your gear comes off, right? As my counselor would say, he carries his PTSD around with him, and when he gets home or in his office, he puts it down so he could be himself. You know.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it was, and it's interesting. He carries a rucksack with him. He's a GWAT vet as well, and I mistakenly when I first met him, because he's wiser than me, right? I thought he was a Vietnam vet. So well, after knowing him, after seeing him for almost half a year, you know, I was like, hey, thank you for your service. Welcome home, Airman. You know, he was like, what? I was like, Vietnam, right? He goes, no, it's because I'm old. I was like, I'm sorry, man. I assumed it. You're right. Like, you know, but it really is the sensitivity thing. It was tough re-engaging with. When I had to witness or be a part of a funeral in country, it blocks something off in you, you know, because you're not able to react. In an all-male unit, in a combat unit, in a combat environment, in a combat zone, having to stand there at attention and not show any emotion, and then go through the whole ceremony, and right afterwards, Charlie Mike, continue mission. You don't have time for that. That stays with you. PTSD, the unseen, right, wound, the unseen scars or cuts. When you get cut on your arm, you see it, and what do? You take care of it right away, otherwise it gets infected. PTSD, nobody sees it. You don't even see it. So how long does it stay there not getting treated until eventually it's too late? You know, I cry almost all the time now for the smallest little things, and it took me some time getting used to being in touch with, you know, that side that you were told not to be in touch with, either as a man, as a soldier, right? Suck it up, you know. Sick call Rangers don't, you know, belong here. And then you start getting full of your head and everything else, you know. Then you start throwing that out. Combat. That just carries so much weight on you. You're proud of it at the same time, but it does. Every time you say it, you know, you know what it means, and then other individuals who may not, you know, civilians too,
You got to take your rucksack off.
Yeah.
And,
You know?
and be a civilian today.
Yeah.
Know that not everyone understands your struggle. Like we don't understand most people's struggles. Everybody's struggling with something. And we can't see that, right? Those inflicted wounds that are deep within us, that are totally ingrained in our nervous system, that are like systemic, kind of like sepsis. You're just like, you're gonna die because you don't know what's coming up. And everything is on fire all the time. And then you have that fight, flight, or freeze happening. So your amygdala is in overdrive and you're out there acting like that. The world is a very scary place. It's very black and white. And it can be really scary to confront someone like that. And you're like, I know I'm a good person. But when they come at you with anything and you got that trigger, that's something I don't want to be responsible for anymore, is like, you know, being able to harm somebody else like that. Because so I think that's what took me back, is like I was ready to stop hurting myself and stop hurting other people around me. But man, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to take that vest off, to take, you know, the badge of honor, right? You know, like I did do this thing, but it's time to lay it down and lead a new life and become an advocate for those who are suffering with it. Because we are individuals and we get to have freedom now. Like you fought for your freedom, go enjoy it.
Right.
You know?
And what do we do with it? You know, we spend years retelling our tales.
Yeah.
It's like I'm the football player who peaked in high school, you know, like, or you know, it at some point you need to move on, right? I mean, because I spoke earlier about that transition between Sergeant Driscoll and the veteran. It's like, well, then be the veteran, man. You know, I had this one while I was still in. I had this soldier. We were getting lunch, and he did something wrong with his uniform. Something was out of place, you know. And this retired sergeant major came up and started chewing him out, you know. And you know, me as something 20-year-old sergeant, you know, I was like, hey, hero, what are you doing, you know? And he was telling who he was and how he served and everything like that. And I was like, oh, sergeant major, huh? You know, he's like, yeah, you know, retiree. I was like, then stay that way and get out of my soldier's face, you know. Like, like at the time, I just saw someone, you know, berating my soldier, but I got to swallow those words right now myself, you know, and be that veteran. Don't keep living that life and those war stories and those good old days. Start making those good old days. You know,
Yes.
you have a life like you're moving here to a brand new state, you know, you're accomplishing great things. Your name is getting out there in the veteran community, and that's such a great thing, you know. You know, Nicole. It's like, oh yeah, I know Nicole, and it's like, oh cool, like, that right there, just the word of mouth, you know. Start living that life, and I think you're definitely on a very good path, because, like I said the other day, you told me something that completely altered the way I'm thinking. So thank you, Nicole.
I'm grateful that
Yeah.
impacted you. And for me, just, you know, voicing who I am can be helpful. And that's all we can do. You know, I can't show up and try to pretend to be something that I'm not, because it doesn't serve anybody, right? Holding guilt doesn't serve anybody. And building a coalition is difficult, you know. But I went to the Hall of Fame award ceremony. You were there. Calvin, your counterpart at Soldier's Best Friend, was there. And it was sponsored by the Unified Arizona Veterans Group, which is a coalition ran by Travis Burns, right? You said he's a great guy. You know him pretty well. I had him in my office on Monday, and I was like, well, what do you guys do? I had never heard of them. And he said that they were the voice of Arizona's veterans. I was like, say more about that. So I got to understand a little bit about what UAV does, and trying to understand if we're duplicating efforts here with this coalition and with that bigger coalition. Can you speak to that at all? Like having these bigger entities down, does this small guy here, what we're trying to do here, does this matter, or does that matter? Like,
oh yeah,
we're in this fight together, right? Like,
yeah, I'm big on metaphor, so if it's just going to come out. I think Travis Burns is such a phenomenal individual. I've had the pleasure of meeting him many times. I first met him at the Mesa Vet Center. So again, Mesa Vet Center. And he does guitars. He teaches people how to play guitars. He's in the Arizona Hall of Fame as well, the Arizona Veterans Hall of Fame. Just a phenomenal guy. I don't think, though, you can duplicate efforts, right? in the civilian world. You have Bashas', you have Safeway, you have Fry's, you have Albertsons, right? You have all the same things doing something, the same purpose, right? Getting your groceries at. But this one does this. This one's over here. This one does that. And this one's a little bit closer. In the veteran community, we have community partners, because just as much in the military, where one organization succeeds or falls short, your community partner can continue the mission where maybe you may not be able to. I constantly refer people out. I don't think that we're a catch-all for everything, but we are something. We are one of the resources and referrals. And if I don't know, well, then you know what? I'll refer you to somebody who does know or who may know. And if they don't know, they'll refer you. There is not one catch-all. Nobody has a monopoly within the veteran community on resources and referrals, because we are all after, like you stated, we're all after the same mission, because it all revolves around the veteran. We serve veterans. You said they are the voice of veterans. We all serve veterans. That is our mission in the veteran community and as a community partner.
Yes. You also said you read one of his books that
Yes.
stopped you in your tracks.
I apologize if Travis Burns listens to this, but I've told him my truth. I've told him my truth.
That's
I don't remember the name of the book. It's a very short book. I want to say about 25 pages. But I cannot get myself to get past the first chapter. What he describes in the first chapter is so resonating, or it resonates with me so much that I start crying. Simply because it's very relatable to why veterans turn on themselves. I can't remember verbatim what it states.
We'll find out and we'll link it below.
Yeah, but it's basically talking about how we turn on ourselves from the very beginning.
We do. We also have a guest right now who's kind of alluding to that. He's got a question. Thanks for watching, Richard Dawson. He said, since being out of the service, have you had issues with anger? If so, how did you manage to help yourself manage it?
I've definitely had anger issues. I mean, you could ask every ex-girlfriend of mine. I've definitely had a lot of anger issues. I used to solve it with the classical alcohol. Right? It would numb it. It would numb it. Currently, like I said, how I solve it now is I attend my mental health. I used to think that was such a weak thing to do. I don't need help. No one's going to tell me. No one knows what I'm going through. So what I do is I attend my mental health. I struggle with it, but I reach out to my friends and I reach out to people within my support system. I never really realized that I had a support system until I started having anger issues, and I was cognitive of them. I just thought that was, that they were wrong. Like, what's wrong with you? But I reach out to my support system. I cannot stress that enough. If you don't have family or friends here, please get involved within the veteran community, because you will have a support system too.
Yeah. As far as anger is concerned, I was extremely angry because I didn't know what was wrong with me, and I felt super justified. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with me, and this is your problem, not mine. I didn't take ownership of anything. Plus, I was really scared. I think that's where a lot of my anger came from. I was scared. I didn't know what was happening to me. And until I got educated around nervous system and cognitive behavioral therapy and started going to treatment and understanding the brain and the body and reconnecting, then I was like, oh, okay. So it's something I can do. It's the whole serenity prayer, letting go of what you can't control. So finding that out, I think, is first and foremost. That's what I had to do. What can I and cannot control, and allow that to be there, and then find some serenity elsewhere. And, seek gratitude. Gratitude interrupts anger. My psychiatrist back at the VA in Walla Walla many years ago, she had just on a sticky note on the side of her desk. I mean, this woman's office was totally disheveled, but she had all these random sticky notes everywhere. And that's the one that stuck with me because I wouldn't look her in the eye. I would just stare at all the things on her desk, all these little trinkets. And that thing stuck with me. And I wrote it down in every journal I've ever had. Gratitude interrupts anger. And they say that fear and rhythm cannot coexist. So if you're afraid of something, turn on some music, start dancing, strum a guitar. So fear and rhythm can't coexist. Gratitude interrupts anger. So when I wake up in the morning, it could be from a nightmare, or it could just be just a casual waking up, right? And say, I am grateful this morning for whatever, a few different things, something different every day too. Always number one. I'm glad I am, so that's
crazy.
what I can say.
That's crazy because I do the same thing with my counselor. I think every time we start, I may start with him looking in the eyes, but then I'm always looking elsewhere when I talk to him. So that's I don't know what that is.
It's you're regulating yourself, and it's about your environment too. So if you feel safe in your environment, maybe you're not as angry. Maybe you're angry because you're getting prepared. And I can't speak to anyone's personal situation, but I know that's what works for me. So
yeah, no, that's very interesting. I'm constantly trying to figure out ways to improve myself, and I'm not trying to sit here and speak about how I'm just this great calm guy now. We're all humans too at the same time, and every once in a while it does come out, but
we can respond differently.
Yeah.
There's a space between stimulus and response, and in that space is where you get your freedom. So let's practice.
Should be a counselor.
Being there. I came down here to go to grad school, and I was interrupted by this place. And instead of going to grad school, I'm doing this now.
Found that mission, found that calling, right?
It happened to me, and I accepted the challenge, I guess, because it is by far the greatest and scariest and hardest thing I have done as an adult outside of the service. Yeah. Because all of this, we have to talk about these things, these hard things, these unknown things. The only thing I get to show up with that I know is my truth. This is who I am today. I want to be different tomorrow, because what I learned from you today is great. What I learned from Richard today is somebody's out there struggling with something, and maybe we were able to help them. And that's all we can do. And I get to lay my head down tonight. I don't have to take all of this home with me. I can just say, I showed up as my best self and try to offer up what I could.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all we can do, right?
Richard Dawson, he's a friend of mine. He's part of my support system. So I'm glad he's tuned in. Yeah.
Thanks for the question, man.
He's a U.S. Army veteran as well. And
thanks for your service, brother. So I want to start closing out this show with a question that came up, and we held a Warriors and Wellness thing the other night. We had a bunch of practitioners in here, and we were just talking about holistic therapies and what we could start offering in this space to provide. And at the end of our slideshow, he said, or he had on the slide, what do you think is missing in the veteran support community? And what do you think is missing in the veteran support community? If you're watching right now, please ask a question down below or state what you think we're missing in the comments, so we can have a conversation down there so everybody who's watching can, build into the conversation. And for you, what do you think?
I think our generation of warfighters missing in the veteran community.
Our generation of warfighters?
Oh yeah. That just sounds amazing, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, is it internal? Is it external?
Well, what I think
theater?
so, well, I always congratulate a Vietnam veteran for what they did. Because when the Vietnam War was going on, when they got out of the service, they were heavily involved in veteran advocacy and veteran rights. And I don't feel as though we, as our generation of GWAT veterans, are present enough in these things. When we were at the luncheon the other day, I mean, I want to say maybe on two hands, maybe three, you can count how many GWAT individuals were there at those tables. It was all older generations of warfighters.
Yeah.
Our generation, and whether it be the PTSD or whether it be whatever internal struggles they're dealing with, and maybe it's because they have lives and family and things like that. It's understandable, but the volunteer basis and getting involved within the veteran community, I feel, is what's missing at this point.
Yeah. Rick Kryberg at Veterans Affinity has a huge following. Everyone's wearing the t-shirts and stuff, and they're all finding their next mission, right? And I want to do that here, because I joined AmeriCorps. That's what got me this job. I was an AmeriCorps Vista. I wanted to be a part of something again, and then it led me to this. So yeah, I agree with you. I like that. And we have another question here, and before we close out, a question from Cool Breeze. For hope's sake, what are your hopes and dreams for the future of the fields you are in, and what does that look like to you?
Would you like to go first?
Well, my hopes and dreams are veteran suicide is way too high. And I like how you started off the conversation. Can you repeat what you said at the beginning when you were talking about taking that ownership of some of them ultimately end up taking their lives?
Cool. So, um, taking the ownership, taking accountability, or
Yeah. So they're like, this is the one thing that I control. This is as a soldier, you're like, I have to figure this thing out. I have to make it stop.
Oh, yeah,
So making
yeah.
it stop, making it go away is ceasing life
Oh, yeah,
on
yeah.
itself.
As a military member, just in general, you're trained to eliminate the enemy. That's just at the core. And when there's no longer an enemy around, but you constantly keep saying, "What's wrong with me?"
I'm bad, I'm broken.
There's
I
something
did,
wrong.
yeah. Survivors, all
You
those
become
things.
the enemy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you end up eliminating yourself.
Self-harm, SI, all the things. So for me, I want to bring hope to the hopeless. And if you've ever met with somebody who's been in the rooms of AA, there's a part in the book that says only the hopeless know what it's like, right? So to give hope to the hopeless, that's what we're doing. We were in that space before, and now we're giving hope. So my hope is that people come in here and see that we've turned our lives around and we still struggle, but we're struggling well. I have that book here as well. So it's not, you're not the enemy. I want people to stop harming themselves and show up here and learn how to be loved. Let us love you, or let us hold you, let us hear you until you're able to do that for yourself. Because turning that old narrative off, changing your beliefs, it's really hard because it's totally ingrained in us.
Oh, yeah.
We have to break that cycle takes not just yourself, it's allowing other people. It's really hard. So my hope is just to walk in the door is so brave. Every person that walks in the door, I'm so honored that they walked in because I want to hear their story. I want to tell them my story. And I want to see if somehow, some way we can get them to the other side of whatever they're struggling with. Like when we left the awards ceremony, one of my staff called me and they said, there was a veteran here in crisis. They're talking about suicide. So I was sitting with Southwest Veterans Chamber of Commerce at their table. Ken Enfinger was there. And I was like, I showed him the text. I was like, I gotta go. So I came down here. I was looking for the veteran on the street, and I came in here and they said he had taken off. But there was another veteran in here who I'd sent to treatment. He got sober, then he relapsed, and he's back here again, loaded, and had to talk with him. I had such a great talk with him. He came back a few days later, sober, and was talking to our workforce development guys at Arizona at Work. That's the hope that we're offering here. Someone gets to hear you. You might fall, but that's our logo here. You recalibrate, you rise. Just keep trying, keep coming back.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you don't have to stop. You don't have to take your life.
You've opened the doors to the veteran community, to community partners. Definitely. What you said, amen, sister. I mean, how do I follow that?
You're doing the same thing, man.
And that's the whole point. Again, the purpose is the veteran. So yes, my hopes within this organization is to get the veteran just into the door, to get them the help that they need when they need it, to stop the 22 a day. It hurts to know that what an individual did in their service led to this. And my heart always goes out to the mothers, because I remember my mom's excitement when I came home from my deployments, just my son so my heart goes out to the mothers, and I want that pain to stop. I want to be able to see more veterans come through our doors, and if not someone that we can assist, we can refer out.
Yeah.
I want to see veteran suicide end. I want it to end the stigma, the negative stigma of PTSD. I don't want the veteran to be viewed as this crazy individual. We're not. We were trained for a purpose. We answered a call when we were needed to. Doesn't make us bad. It makes us human to hurt. But we were trained and told not to.
That's what Dave Campbell says. He goes, be glad you have PTSD. That means you're not a psychopath.
Yeah.
That's what he said on the last.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that.
Well, it means, you know, we're having a human reaction to the horror or whatever we've struggled with. So it's okay. You're not wrong for feeling the way that you feel. And it's a lot. It's really heavy, especially if you have comorbidities. Like if you're trying to cope with it with alcohol or drugs or anger or fighting. I mean, I went through all that and it was not helpful. So just lay down the ghost and come in here and let's just take off the rucksack.
Yes, please try to find your local vet center if you don't like the VA. I'm a big advocate for vet centers.
And they're sponsored by the VA or funded by the VA.
They are funded by the VA. They pretty much they're an extension of the VA. They are the VA.
Yeah, they're right down the street here.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, great. Yep.
Great counseling, family support.
Yes, they do. They offer counseling for your families as well.
Yeah.
Or look for a local peer support group meeting. Again, peer support. Get it out with your peers.
Yeah.
You know, somebody just by speaking, telling their truth, telling their story, may strike a chord in you or be able to answer your issues right then and there. So, and then that's why thankfully here we'll be starting up peer support groups.
All right, finally.
If you are a family member of a veteran, you can attend because PTSD doesn't only affect the veteran, it affects the family.
Yes. And it affects all first responders, you know. So if anybody knows anybody who's doing it, I like to say the doors are open for anybody.
Oh yeah.
Because we all need healing. This world needs healing. And this world needs us to show up as our true authentic selves because we don't know what we say, how it might impact somebody and potentially save a life or get them to save their own life by stop hurting themselves and start showing us what we can be grateful for the reason why they showed up today. I'm like, I'm so grateful I met you today. Yeah. I'm so grateful you showed up today. This has been a really cool conversation. Well, I went into it and I was like, I'm trying to be a little more free up here on stage and just really allow everyone to see that we're just a couple of vets helping vets, you know, and it's not this big scary thing. We're just having a conversation around what the reality is out there and what are we going to do to change it? We have the UAV, we have the Southwest Veterans Chamber, we have the Mesa Vet Center, we have us, we have you, we have these these veteran video guys who are out there spreading by what they're doing, they're helping us spread the message. They work with other veteran organizations like Home of Record Project, and we have women's groups, men's groups, just wherever you can start there.
Oh yeah. Just show up. Honestly, just show up.
I have a problem with trying to go to everything and be everything to everyone all the time. Yeah. And it's too much. So I need to reel it back a little bit and be like, what can I do? What's right in front of me? Just what's in front of me. That's what I get to do today. Because otherwise it's going to take me out because I can't save the world.
You can't, even though you have a big
heart. My heart went wide open when I healed, man. It just went wide open. I'm like, I want to show everybody all the things. And
you do. You have a very big heart, and I could see it when you speak, and I could see it when you are present wherever we're at. But like you said, boundaries.
Yeah.
Speak your truth. Mm-hmm. If it's too much, it's okay. Because why? You have somebody else that may be able to take on that load.
Yes. So, and I need to know who you are. So please come introduce yourself and help me, help us, and help yourself.
Help me, help you. Right?
Yeah, however that works. Yeah. I'm so grateful you showed up today, man. Cool story. Can't wait to see how you do on the driving range because Ro gave me a set of golf clubs. So I'm anxious to get out there.
We're going to have to go. I live right next to Awatuki Golf Course. So, I mean, I need to learn how to, in this game, in this business, we got to learn, you know, when we're asking people to help support us, we got to learn to play golf, you know?
Okay.
So we'll do it. We'll do it. And thank you for having me here, Nicole. It's been a pleasure to be able to actually speak to you on a more intimate level, because your business, I'm business. And whenever we're out there serving the veterans, we're all about our business.
Yeah.
So this was great. And I
It's
truly
nice
appreciate
to
it.
just be the veteran
Yeah.
and be like, this is what I struggle with. Oh, you did that too, and this is how I overcame it. That's what's up. So no more drinking to the foam. We'll drink to the caffeine gods over here. That's what keeps me going, man. It gets my motor running. If I don't have Joe in the morning, I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's really hard.
It's the end of the day already.
Oh. Okay, well, if you tuned in today and you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments. It looks like there's a bunch of people having a conversation already, and they can lead you to places that maybe I don't know about yet, and maybe Emilio doesn't either. So let's continue the conversation down below, and let us know what would you like to see from us next, and who would you like to hear from. We've talked about a couple of big organizations on the show today, so hopefully we'll bring them in, or some other entities, and I'll let you know if we're going to be bringing in more groups here in this space. But we need you to come down and show your support so we can keep this thing going and support everybody who walks in the door. Because I can't always be here, and staff can't always be here. So we need you to volunteer and come down, hang out, play some Legos, listen to music, and have a cup of Joe, and let's talk. Thank you for your service. And remember, what's the closing line?
Just show up.
Be kind to yourself. And remember, it's this too shall pass. Okay? You're worth it. And you're enough. And I look forward to hearing your story. See you next time on The Spotlight.